I was so incredibly nervous and nerve-wracked the whole trip, the whole day. I mean, after I finished the painting, I couldn't stop thinking about anything else. The death of Jan-Martin Jensen basically came as a shock to all of music Norway and metal Norway. And I think he died on the 10th of February. About a week or two after that, Erin Lynch from the Inferno Music Conference contacted me about doing a special large painting of Jan-Martin so that the festival could have something to remember him by. After she asked me, I procrastinated for 2 months.
Like you do.
Like I do. And finally I made the painting and got it shipped to Oslo just in time. And then you and me traveled to Oslo together.
Oh, yeah.
And talked a lot on the train. I don't know if I knew how much you could talk on a 7-hour train ride, but now I know. Now I know better. But it was but it was wonderful.
Oh yeah, I think as well.
So Jan-Martin helped me a lot and meant a great deal for my career because of how the Inferno Festival opened their arms to me when I first started drawing metal concerts, and how they gave me a space to do my stuff. And after all these years, I didn't really know Jan-Martin at all, because he was this sort of person who would put others first. Which sort of made it more difficult when Erin asked me if I wanted to say a few words at the event or remembering and celebrating Jan-Martin's life.
And I'd love to invite Kim to this stage to tell us a little bit about that process, and then we have a video of him painting the backdrop, which turned out pretty sick, I think.
It was incredibly scary to be asked to paint Jan-Martin because, like a lot of people, I didn't know Jan-Martin. When I first got to Inferno to draw concerts in 2010, he invited me to their breakfast table, and I often ended up at the same breakfast table as him, and every time there was someone at that table with a huge ego who liked to talk about themselves. Quite a few times that may have been me. But even when I'm talking about myself, I often look around at people and say, that guy, he's a bit weird. He probably has an interesting story. And I never asked him about his interesting story, and I hope that my painting is recognizable by those who knew him. And for me, painting it was just a reminder to sometimes shut the fuck up and let people with less unhealthy egos speak. When trying to capture a likeness of someone in such a big format, I've always wanted to. Have you seen those like Instagram and YouTube videos of people always working on a black canvas and then tossing some paint on it, and then it's a photographic portrait? And the way they do that is, of course, that the pencil lines are too small for the camera to pick up, so it looks very impressive. So I wanted to try that out. So I did big, huge canvas, and I fucked it up so much. I basically thought we had some canvases that were usable. They were eaten by mold, so I had to run to the arts and crafts store and buy a new canvas, but they didn't have one in red, so I had to dye the canvas because I wanted the red color and dry it, and then I had one day and like 3 or 4 hours to paint the whole picture. And I took one of the photographs that Inferno always use of Jan-Martin with his with weird and crooked smile, and I blew that up on a projector and I traced it, and then I started tossing paint and trying to follow the lines. And of course it's much more difficult than it was in my mind. I was kind of heartbroken when I ended up with something that looked like Jan-Martin but was stale, and I needed to just take an hour break and to let the paint dry a bit. And I was painting in a cold studio, so when I got back the paint hadn't dried one bit, and I started to panic. I had to take down the whole canvas and then drag it from the cold studio in here to this room where we actually have heating. And the paint was still wet, so as I dragged the canvas, it crumpled and it splattered the paint all around.
I saw it on that,
And then when I rolled it out in this room, suddenly it had the life of Jan-Martin in it. And then I just started pouring some more paint here and there, and I knew that I had done better than expected from me, but I still didn't know how the people who actually knew him would take it. I got to meet some of his family and his children, and people who had known him for many years, and some said they had cried when they saw it, and so many said that they instantly knew that crooked smile, and it was overwhelming and positive. Then there was a ton of other people who actually knew him, who came up and shared stories of his life, from Blitzhuset and being an organizer of early punk concerts, and starting in Norway and in Oslo, and starting a feminist radio, being a part of that, and which is still going to this day. And then his foray into rave music and underground techno in the 90s, and starting this pub, and then this pub becoming one of the few places in Oslo that would play extreme music and black metal, because black metal was the 90s black metal, true Norwegian black metal. That's not but it wasn't huge in Norway. It was there weren't many places for these bands to play, and he embraced that. And to just hear these stories about his ability to just embrace things and let them be themselves, and the silliness which he would do that with, and his sly humor, and how many things that went wrong, and how he would always be calm through everything. And it was just, for me, it was overwhelming to get this glimpse into a man who I had often thought, yeah, I should probably have a talk with him someday about other things than me. And it's as I said in the speech, it's the reminder to shut the fuck up occasionally and ask others questions was a lot more real after having listened to everyone talk and celebrate Jan-Martin's life.